If you don't have your psychological input into it, people start very well, then eventually it all drops down straight away. Psychology is the study of our brain, how our brain functions.
You're training, you're crushing it, you're having a good physique, you're killing your goals, something pops up and you stop.
The first thing I said before going to surgery, what's the worst thing that can happen? I can either die, so I stop exist. Secondly, I can end up in a wheelchair. It was very tough. I was ready that I was not gonna lift that heavy weights from day one, definitely. 80, 90, 100 kilos. I couldn't even lift my laptop because it was 2.2 kilos. Be patient, be patient, be patient. Be willing to accept that life is full of ups and downs. Try to aim to enjoy the whole journey rather than aiming for the end result.
Our guest today is Dr. Bernice Sant. Thanks for your time, Dr. Sant.
Thank you.
Sports psychologist, I have some interesting questions to ask you. I saw some photos that you have with Liverpool football players, powerlifting, weightlifting, CrossFit. It shows that you have a very interesting lifestyle. Myself and our viewers would like to learn more about sports psychology. In my opinion, it's very underestimated. The power of sports psychology can be crucial in someone's life. That's my take, at least. So, first question, we're going to dive straight up into it. It's fair to say that it looks very interesting, like the lifestyle, the pictures that you gave us as well. What inspired you to get into all this? It's your lifestyle.
Yeah, to be honest, I love sports myself. But when I was from a very young age, I wanted to get into sport, but I used to be a bit chubby and on the fat side. So I never went into sports whatsoever. I just was interested in helping people and stuff like that. Eventually, I decided to take action on myself and change myself and still continued helping people. So the psychology aspect was a constant. And people always used to tell me, whenever I talk to you, I feel really comfortable that I can open up in a trustworthy environment. And I used to be like, okay, so I might have a natural talent there. So I kept on exploring it. Then eventually, I've done some fitness instructing courses and diet and nutrition. Plus, I was training on my own and alongside coaches as well. So I said, why don't I combine the two and basically join the two passions that I have. And I think I made the right decision because nowadays I feel very happy and I feel I belong in this field. Plus, I feel that there's so much awareness that is lacking within this field. Even, for example, for the fact that some in the UK, for example, nowadays you're starting to see some full-time roles within teams and in different sports. Within Olympics, it has always been there, but it's not always mentioned as part of the main backroom stuff. So you always find the physio, the doctor and stuff, but the psychologist is there sidelined somewhere. In Malta, it's a different story, although it's changing and it's improving, but you still find a lot of teams which are not willing to put any finances whatsoever in sports psychology, which I don't understand, because if you think about it, the sports is, I would say, it's 8% mental and 20% physical. I mean, you need to put in the work, but without the mental strength into it, you are not going to arrive anywhere with that talent.
Dr. Sant, one of the main lecturers of MF Academy, and in our academy we felt the great need in the market of sports psychology. to us, it is very underestimated. And in 10 years in this business, in the fitness industry, we came to realize every day the strength of sports psychology. So if the psychology is not on, the fitness is not on. So what is your take about it?
Yeah, as you are mentioning very well, you can find a lot of athletes, for example, where they have huge talent and everybody picks them for team selection and stuff like that. But when there's issues where resilience needs to be built in, or for example, let's say in a football match, for example, if the opponent scores against them, they'll just shut down and that talent is completely lost whatsoever. Same goes with environments like gyms, for example. If you don't have your psychological input into it, you are not gonna commit and sustain a behavior which is gonna last long enough that will remain part of your identity of who you are. And what happens most of the time, people start very well, then eventually it all drops down straight away because they were not ready to commit to the day in, day out effort that
Exactly.
it
In
involves.
fact, we see a lot of talent in teenage years, and then it will fade out as they grow older.
Exactly.
So let's recap this. Let's unpack it a bit. So you're saying that most probably is the lack of psychology which is lacking to build a consistent career in sports.
I would say, okay, so if we had to talk about psychology, when we say lack of psychology, what is that? It's more about understanding oneself. So what is psychology? Psychology is the study of our brain, how our brain functions. So if we had to unpack that, it's how we function as people, how we reason things out, how we react to different things. And yeah, the psychology is connected to everything that we do. If it's simple walking and if it's included to a competitive environment, everything is connected to psychology. Even while we're talking over here, the posture we're in, the tone of voice we're using, the gestures. I know that I use a lot of gestures while I talk, but that's part of who I am. So yeah, psychology is in everything we do. And it affects people differently by the way they react towards different situations. So yeah.
The fact, to me, is like the power of momentum is crucial in everything. So if you stop your momentum, you stop everything. You have to get everything, start everything from scratch. So be it if it's personal fitness, you're training, you're crushing it, you're having a good physique, you're killing your goals, something pops up and you stop. It's only the power of psychology that can, like, to pick up your shit together and you go roll up your sleeves and start all over again. Or else, if nothing happened, you keep trying to work and achieve greater goals. So there is no barrier. So it's the power of psychology as well. So it's just, if it's one thing or another, it's still the psychology. That's how we see it. There is an experience of someone, or maybe even your experience, who the power of sports psychology, let's stick to sports, it's like a sports channel, sports psychology was crucial in someone's life. In your experience, do you recall something?
Yeah, I can totally recall one of my experiences, which I had last year. In fact, I used to compete in CrossFit.
You personally?
Yeah, I used to compete in CrossFit and I used to love it.
It looks from the pictures that you gave us in the intro.
Thank you. And then last year I started having loads of back pains and stuff. I mean, this has been on for 7 years, but I always managed to heal it naturally. And it took a lot of psychology over there because I needed to keep calm, stay away from exercise whatsoever, and I'm quite an exercise freak sometimes. But I know when to recover as well and have my rest days because it is important. But yeah, just last year, in fact, I had a spine surgery. It's a miracle that I'm actually sitting down at this very moment because I couldn't sit down after the surgery. And I was told that, I mean, I prepared myself mentally. I said,
so you came to utilize your profession for yourself as well?
100%. In fact, the first thing I said before going to surgery, everybody was telling me, aren't you afraid? I was like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I can either die, so I stop exist. Secondly, I can end up in a wheelchair. If I end up in a wheelchair, there's loads of sports that people in wheelchairs can do. I'll do that.
You started to prepare yourself mentally.
I prepared everything. And also, I said, and there's the good side that it can go well. Eventually, yeah, it did went well, thankfully. But what I noticed was that it was very tough. I mean, I needed to face a lot of fears, like starting from scratch. I was ready that I was not gonna lift that heavy weights from day one, definitely. But I was sure that my physically active lifestyle is gonna continue. That's what I was sure of. How? I was not sure, but I trained myself to keep in line within holding to that thought.
To try to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you just said is very important, for example, is that I didn't want to figure the whole story out. I just wanted to have an idea. But then I decided to live day by day and see how my body functions after the surgery, so on and so forth. I mean, for the first 3 weeks, I needed people to help me put on clothes, move from the bed, wash myself. I needed help for every normal functioning. In fact, I felt I was losing my dignity in it. Then eventually, I remember the first time I was gonna be removed from hospital, they told me, you are only allowed to lift 1 kilo. And after lifting like 80, 90, 100 kilos, you're just allowed 1 kilo. I couldn't even lift my laptop because it was 2.2 kilos. So yeah, but over there you can see how I built it up slowly with using the teaching of my own psychology and being like, yeah, accept this moment. It's part of what is at this very moment.
Did this experience change you, Bernice? Or
100%. I mean, I had to build up a lot of patience. I even had suicidal moments through it because you need to lose your whole identity whatsoever. You're no longer an athlete at that very moment. But I still knew that I was gonna keep on being physically active and I will compete in something else, even if it's not CrossFit, which I'm still working towards. But yeah, it changed me completely by how patient I became after it, the acceptance that came through it, the beauty of starting from scratch.
It looks that you went some serious self-work.
Yeah.
Did this help you when you are listening to a client of yours, for example?
Yeah, definitely. Not just in listening, even after that whole situation, most of the clients that I'm getting are injured athletes. And everybody keeps on referring people to me who are
And
injured.
I believe a lot that you attract the
Exactly.
people that you are people like you, like your situation.
Yeah, and in fact, I even started fitness classes again because I used to give them before. And I'm using a lot of psychology into it. How, for example, I'm aiming for an audience that even without even aiming, a lot of people with back problems are coming to my classes. That's one thing. Secondly, the first thing I've done was giving them this small workbook. That was like, don't think this is school or something like that. Just think of it as a self-development program within fitness instructing. So I told them to write their why in it, why they decided to come to these classes. Also the team's why we are here. So I told them, so that you understand that we're not here to evaluate or to judge. We're just here to improve ourselves from the person who we were yesterday. And then apart from that, to keep on writing the weekly improvement. Every class, with every class they write a tiny improvement that they saw, even if it's just a simple improvement in flexibility. But I told them I will, every month, I'm gonna check these workbooks to combine the psychology within the fitness environment.
Exactly. To me, the most interesting part, and why I find even discussing this topic with you is extremely interesting, is because even us, as a brand, during these past 10 years, we're literally focused to mingle self-development with fitness. They go really hand in hand. You can't do one or keep doing one without the other. So at first, all right, you might don't have self-development, or you started to train, or you started to train and you don't have self-development, but eventually they have to come along. And sports psychology is like, it's complementing everything. And that's why we are honored as well that we have you on board in our academy. And we're really sure that the course is going to be a really rich course for those aspiring athletes who want to be trainers. So we're launching our academy soon, and all those individuals who would like to have a course, EQF level, certified fitness trainer, just message us and we can take you the very first steps in your journey. Just to close it up, to wrap it up, what is the most important factor to you to keep in mind along the journey? So it's not only about fitness journey, even the life journey, when you are mingling self-development, sports psychology, fitness, all to wrap everything up.
Yeah, I would wrap it up in, I think, a few points. So I would say definitely be patient, be patient, be patient.
Be patient.
Times 3. Because a lot of things are going to be difficult along the way. There are going to be ups and downs, and you need that patience along the way. Apart from that, be willing to accept that life is full of ups and downs.
Be willing to accept that life is filled up with ups and downs.
So the acceptance part of it, and also try to aim to enjoy the whole journey rather than aiming for the end result. Always aim to.
In fact, this is a very common issue. A lot of even us, people tend, it's human beings, how our brain is wired sometimes. We tend to go for the end result and don't enjoy the process.
Yeah, exactly. And if you focus on the whole process, you would enjoy that you put a lot of effort into it, which will eventually make the results feel sweeter, and at the end of the day, continue building on it rather than seeing the result as that's it and we're done, basically. The journey is the whole process.
Glad to have you on board. Really, really interesting. I'm pretty sure that we organize something similar again and find some key topics to discuss. And keep following us and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.